Hi, welcome to my channel where we provide an alternative view to the common narrative. Today we're going to talk about Palestinian and Israel and the attack of Hamas on Israel on the 7th of October and Israel's retaliation bombing of Gaza. There are a lot of things that have been said. I don't want to go into the history of the whole matter, but as I've spoken into one of my short videos, Pierre Morgan always asks the question to the pro-Hamas people that he interviews, do they condemn the actions of Hamas on the 7th of October? And it was a terrorist attack. Now, everybody in the world always describes these actions as terrorist attacks. Now, before I actually even start about that, you can call me an anti-Semitist or a Zionist or whatever, but that's a very poor form of argument. Usually, Israelis or Jews, but mostly Israelis because that's a collective, use that when they don't have an answer for your argument or they don't have a counter argument. The easiest way to get out of that situation is to accuse you of something like anti-Semitism. Now, like I said, I live in South Africa, and in South Africa the famous word is not anti-Semitism but racism. So if they can't argue and you present valid arguments, then they resort to blaming you as a racist. But he doesn't understand, but nobody really understands the word racism really. And that is why it's been so many times abused. The same with anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism is fair if it is used correctly. That means if you are in general against the Jews for the religion, for the race. But if there's an individual who you accuse for the errors that he's doing, you're not an anti-Semitist because you don't evaluate him according to the group that he belongs to, but as an individual. Now, in this case, the same. Israel is not a Jewish state, although it claims to be. I've spoken about it before that. According to the census of Israel, there's about 9 million people. Of only 7 million are about Jews. But what they fail to tell you is that the Israelis don't count the Palestinians as citizens or inhabitants of Israel. Now, unfortunately, there's another more than 4.5 million Palestinians right across Israel that are not counted. We're not talking about the Arabs itself in Israel, but the Palestinians. And if you add that then together, you get about 13, 14 million people. And suddenly 7.5 Jews is about 55% of the population. So Israel is not a Jewish state. It's a make-believe and a fallacy. So criticizing Israel doesn't mean you're an anti-Semite. It's just you don't approve the action of a certain state in the Middle East, just like you would criticize Saudi Arabia or Iran or Iraq or whatever you want to see it. Now let's get back to this October the 7th. And I don't condone the action of Hamas. Why, you have to ask me. And the answer is simple. The answer is not simple. That's the whole point. It's like I explained to you before. Say you take one group that's about 100 members in a family, and there's another group and they are about 30 in a family. And on a regular basis, members of this bigger group kill members of the smaller group. Whether it's children, women, men, old men, doesn't matter. But on a regular basis, they kill one or two. And then the smaller group can't retaliate. But one day, a group of these smaller group members, they get, well in Afrikaans you call it gatvol, they got fed up and they decide to do a raid on the bigger group. And they go in and they kill, say, 10, 15 members of the bigger group. And they kill women and children and older men and men. Doesn't matter. But in the end, they do a repayment of the sufferings that they have experienced at the hand of the bigger group. Now you want to call me those people that are doing this as terrorists, or as I should condemn it. Well, if you walk on a moral view, yes, you should always condemn killings of innocent people by all means. But if the other group is doing it and you don't defend yourself, what are you supposed to be doing? And that is precisely what Hamas has done. So I don't believe that Hamas are actually terrorists. As I always say, for some people, these people are terrorists, and for some people, these are freedom fighters. Depends on what side of the fence you are sitting. And then you can look at the action of Israel. Now, Israel, you can say whatever you want. They can claim whatever they want. They say they are bombing Hamas, they will kill Hamas. And unfortunately, the civilians are in the way and are collateral damage, and that's why people are killed. No, it's not like that. One has to go back again to what is the definition of a terrorist act. A terrorist act is when you kill or frighten, terrorize civilian people in order to get a certain political outcome. Now, the Israelis and the Western world is claiming Hamas was a terrorist act that they did in September. But what is Israel doing in Palestinian? Are they also not terrorizing innocent civilians? I mean, bombing any place or flying with an aircraft, Israeli aircraft over Gaza, the people on the ground don't know whether they're going to be bombed or not. They are living in terror. And a lot of them are actually killed, rightfully, as they expected and what they were afraid of. So the bombing of Gaza by Israel is a terror attack. And therefore, Israel is a terrorist country doing terrorist action. It doesn't matter how you argue about that. That's unfortunately the definition of terrorism and terrorists. And you can whitewash as much as you want in the media. It doesn't make any difference. Now we say Israel has the right to defend itself. Sure. But so do the Palestinians. Don't they have the same right? And that is what the function is of Hamas. Now the question again also, which I have addressed in my short videos. Who do you think really are the Hamas members? Yes, Scott Ritter and Kermit Douglas say that is an ideology. Yes, it is an ideology, but not an ideology like a Christian religion or so on. No, it's an ideology to fight for the rights of the Palestinians. And that is more a political view, not an ideology. But I can guarantee you, 90% of all members of Hamas that are fighting in this against Israel have lost one or two or multiple members of their families due to indiscriminate Israeli bombing of Gaza. So these guys got nothing to lose, and they have lost a hell of a lot by their members. And they are taking revenge and action, just like Israel is not claiming to do, but in effect are doing. So Israel is nothing better than Hamas, in spite of what you want to tell us and what it really is. The fact on the ground is Israel is a terrorist organization, just like Hamas, if you want to group them as terrorists. Or you can group both of them as freedom fighters. Whatever you decide, but you have to treat them equally. So, what are we seeing? So, Israel has now bombarded the Jalaba concentration, not refugee camp. 2 days after each other, they left huge bomb craters and destroyed buildings, and then they claim they have killed 2 Hamas leaders. But on Hamas on the other side says none of the leaders or the Hamas fighters were in Jalabad refugee camps. But in one bombing, 250 Palestinian civilians were killed. And apart from that, a certain engineer at one of the UAE TV stations or radio stations has lost 19 members of its family. 19 members of his family have been killed in those bomb strikes. Now imagine what this guy will do. I'm pretty sure he will join Hamas or Hezbollah. What would you have done? Wouldn't you have done the same thing? So the whole point here is that whatever you argue, both parties are equally guilty. And what do the Israelis do in any case, which is a war crime as well? They do collective punishment. They turn off the water and electricity and all the essential services to Gaza. They bomb the hospital under the pretense of that Hamas is hiding underneath these hospitals, which is a fallacy. And even if it was true, that's not the way to go about it, because you kill a lot of people. And weren't the Russians blamed for so-called bombing hospitals in Mariupol and so on? So it's a total hypocrisy on the Western side in any case. But coming back, what is Israel really doing? It's killing innocent people. And it has to stop, one way or the other. But according to rhetoric given from the West, who are silent on the matter, and who support Israel unconditionally, and Israel is in a fanatic mode, he wants to kill Hamas in all aspects, and therefore it's terrorizing the Gaza civilian population and killing them indiscriminately without much success. And the fact is actually that if you read the articles, that 11 of the hostages have been killed in the Israeli bombing. Now, what do these Israelis think is going to happen? If the bombing is not going to kill the hostages, then Hamas is going to kill the hostages in retaliation for the killing of the civilians. And the more Israel bombs Gaza and bombs innocent civilians, they are going to generate more recruits for Hamas. And they're going to have a bigger problem in the future. Because this thing has going on for 70 years, and it seems to me, and there is no fatigue going on. In fact, it's actually increasing the conflict. So think about again how you view Israel and how actually Israel should view itself. I know there are many Jews that agree with me and don't agree with the Israelis. So are you going to call them as what Jewish traitors, or what did they call them in German? Kappa in the Second World War? That's a lame argument. It's when you know you are wrong, but you got no counter argument. So stop with these reasons, sit down and argue properly, so that we can come to a solution, a peaceful solution, where everybody is have a decency to life. In any case, that's my story for today. Until next time, cheers.